Something major just surfaced, and it's coming straight from 50 Cent.
Surprised by the allegations, as surprised as everyone else is. Like, I didn't make the allegations, I didn't tell people to say these things.
50 Cent is naming names, and not in a flattering way. The man who's been cautioning the public about Diddy for years has now gone all in, bringing forward receipts that are hard to ignore. We're talking about Justin Bieber, Ja Rule, Bow Wow, and several other artists who reportedly got a little too close to the Bad Boy Records founder. And the final name on that list? It'll likely catch you off guard. It certainly surprised me. Get ready, because this gets complicated. But first, let's talk about how 50 Cent came by all this information. And no, it's not just because. He holds a grudge. In a recent Netflix documentary series he's involved with, Did He Do It?, 50 Cent breaks the silence that many have been too hesitant or afraid to address. While most people kept quiet, he's been compiling receipts for years, almost like he's been assembling a legal case. This isn't just baseless talk. 50 Cent has been pointing fingers at Diddy since the early 2000s, back when people dismissed him as just another hater. But now, with Diddy appearing in a Manhattan courtroom facing serious federal charges ranging from sex trafficking to racketeering and facilitating prostitution, 50's long-standing criticism doesn't seem like petty drama anymore. It appears he may have been one of the only ones willing to speak out, and just this week, as Diddy's legal team scrambles to manage the fallout, 50 posted this: "After listening to today's testimony, I think the diddler should have took the plea offer. The they are saying is beyond me." He followed up with, "When the man who's been your biggest rival for decades says you should have taken the deal, you know things are looking bad." What's even more startling is that 50 has been archiving everything almost as if he was waiting for this moment. He saw it coming, and now that it's here, the names he's bringing up will make you rethink everything you believed about the music industry. Let's go through the list, name by name, so you can see just how serious this is. Starting with Justin Bieber.
Mr. Lee,
yeah, I love this drink.
Where you put my bag?
I like when you like this, Daddy.
Yeah, where you put my bag?
Daddy, I like when you
right
scrambling
here,
and scraping for shit.
No,
I like that.
You know, I've been practicing.
50 Cent has drawn renewed attention to a disturbing remark Diddy made years ago about spending, quote, 48 hours with a young Justin Bieber. At the time, most people brushed it off as simple mentorship, just an industry veteran guiding a rising star. But according to 50, insiders have long suspected it was something more troubling than studio sessions and advice. And when you consider how Bieber has completely distanced himself from Diddy over time, avoiding collaborations, never bringing him up in interviews, that mentorship narrative starts to feel a lot less wholesome. Bieber was just a kid, barely in his teens. When exactly did Diddy take such a keen interest in Justin Bieber? And if the allegations are accurate, those 48 hours may have been the most distressing period of Bieber's early career. Now let's talk about Ja Rule. This one stands out, and not just because of the names involved, but due to the testimony of Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal. This is someone who had access to everything that happened behind the scenes. Gene Deal claims he witnessed what he referred to as unusual activities between Diddy and Ja Rule during a visit to an adult bookstore. But that wasn't the most troubling part. According to Deal, he also observed what he described as freaky behavior between Diddy and Ja Rule in a private suite in North Carolina. These activities were reportedly so unsettling that Ja Rule himself began cautioning others about what might happen in private with Diddy. Just take a moment to reflect on that. Someone who worked closely with you is allegedly warning others about being alone with you. That doesn't reflect normal industry behavior. That suggests something more concerning, potentially predatory conduct than theirs. The case of Fabulous. This one stands out for a different reason. We actually have video showing Fab's visible discomfort around Diddy. 50 Cent pointed out how Fabulous appeared uneasy during a Drink Champs interview, especially once Diddy began speaking. According to 50, Diddy once tried to convince Fabulous to go upstairs at a private gathering. This claim is backed up by Fab's own past remarks, where he shared that he had to quietly leave one of Diddy's parties. People don't sneak out of parties unless they feel genuinely uncomfortable, unless there's an underlying sense of unease or danger. In Fab's case, it felt less like leaving a party and more like escaping from a troubling situation. Next, we get to Bow Wow, another young artist who rose during the height of Diddy's influence when Bad Boy Records was at its most dominant and Diddy had significant access to up-and-coming talent. According to 50 Cent's list, Bow Wow was among those who reportedly had questionable interactions with Diddy, encounters that appeared to go well beyond the usual scope of industry mentorship. Then we come to Trey Songz. Known for his smooth voice and club hits, Trey is also allegedly on 50's list of artists who got too involved with Diddy's inner circle. Considering what has surfaced about the so-called freak-off parties and the unsettling activities said to have occurred, his inclusion raises even more questions. Trey Songz being named on this list raises important concerns about what he may have seen or experienced during his time around Diddy. Next, we have Kevin Hart. His inclusion might come as a surprise to some, considering he's best known as a comedian rather than a rapper. However, Kevin has been involved in several uncomfortable moments during live streams and interviews with Diddy, clips that feel unsettling when revisited today. Footage of interactions between the two, when viewed through the lens of these recent allegations, begins to appear far more troubling than they initially seemed, and this is where the situation becomes even more alarming, because Diddy wasn't acting in isolation. The network that allegedly enabled this behavior is broader and more disturbing than anyone previously thought. This week, Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former girlfriend, gave testimony in a federal courthouse in Manhattan. What she shared was deeply distressing. Cassie recounted being pressured into what Diddy reportedly called freak-offs, complex sexual encounters she says she was forced to participate in. But there was one detail from her account that shocked everyone. She testified about being told to step into an inflatable pool filled with baby oil set up in a hotel room. Yes, an inflatable pool filled with baby oil. That image alone is hard to process. 50 Cent quickly reacted to Cassie's testimony, posting AI-generated images of Diddy in pools of baby oil with the caption, "Damn, he did all that go." Out like this. This crazier than regular crazy, but what really escalated the concern was what investigators later found. When federal agents searched Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami, they discovered over 1,000 bottles of baby oil. 1,000 bottles. That raises a very legitimate question: why would anyone need that much? Yet the issue goes beyond bizarre parties and alleged coercion. There was reportedly a well-structured system in place to ensure silence. Neat-ass non-disclosure agreements were commonly used for anyone who attended these events or worked closely with Diddy. Reports of intimidation, pressure, and financial leverage were used to keep individuals from speaking out. And when threats weren't effective, it's alleged that Diddy used more extreme tactics. Take the case of Kid Cudi. At the time this video is being recorded, Cudi is expected to testify about a frightening event. His car didn't just get vandalized or tampered with, it exploded. This incident occurred after he began seeing Cassie. According to Cassie's statement, Diddy had already broken into Kid Cudi's residence prior to that incident. When the home was searched, Cudi's dog was reportedly found locked in a bathroom. This goes far beyond ordinary harassment. These are serious claims of retaliation and intimidation on a level reminiscent of organized crime tactics. Cassie said she lived in fear, finally realizing the extent of what Diddy was allegedly capable of doing to those he felt had wronged him. Now, individuals who once remained silent, bodyguards, assistants, makeup artists, and others within the industry are beginning to come forward with their own accounts. Let's begin with Usher.
I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp
There you go.
to learn some...
Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
Camp.
was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In
to...
the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but there, hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle,
Right.
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. It was-
So
it was
nobody
crazy.
tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I ain't say that.
Okay.
I didn't
But
say
you
that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Usher has come forward stating that Diddy introduced him to drugs and wild parties when he was just 13 years old. 13. Usher explained how this early exposure contributed to personal challenges and ultimately led him to choose music and discipline over the party lifestyle. What makes this account even more concerning is that Reggie Wright, JRB, a figure long known for exposing behind-the-scenes truths in the industry, has supported Usher's claims and added his own troubling observations about Diddy's alleged conduct. Then there's George Kaplan, who once worked as Diddy's assistant.
last witness to take the stand was George Kaplan, a former assistant to Sean Combs, who says one of his responsibilities was to set up Diddy's hotel rooms. The first time he unpacked Diddy's bag, he found baby oil, Astroglide, candles, and liquor. The other times, he'd buy the items on his corporate card. He also had to make sure the rooms were in polished shape before checkout to protect Diddy's image, and often threw out empty baby oil bottles and once threw out a powdery crystal substance. And he said he was instructed by Diddy to pick up the drugs 2 times. Both times he testified, Diddy gave him cash to pay for it and gave him a number to call someone to pick it up.
George Kaplan testified under immunity, which means he was legally protected from prosecution in return for providing truthful information. What he shared was deeply unsettling. Kaplan described handling large amounts of cash for Diddy and being responsible for cleaning up after explicit encounters in hotels, essentially helping conceal the aftermath of these events. But what speaks volumes about Kaplan's integrity is his decision to resign. He left what was likely a high-paying role because he couldn't tolerate the abuse he witnessed or ignore Cassie's repeated pleas for help. He walked away rather than continue to be part of a situation he found morally unacceptable. Milo Morales, a professional makeup artist, also shared critical testimony.
I have kept this secret for like 14 years. I mean, the first time I experienced it was 2010, and I was in the hotel room when Puff came in, and I had no idea Cassie left. And when I woke up, I just saw his presence come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out to safety and bringing her to my house. So that's kind of like what transpired from that night. And once she came out of the room, she was badly, beaten.
Milo described seeing Cassie bruised and battered during Grammy weekend into a 1-0 and actually assisting her in getting away from the environment. This wasn't a matter of speculation or secondhand accounts. Milo was directly involved, applying makeup to cover visible signs of physical abuse. Her account not only reinforces Cassie's narrative, but also highlights the severity of the situation Cassie endured both physically and emotionally while involved with Diddy. And then there's Jaguar Wright.
First time you heard me say that Sean Combs was a sex trafficker, and you said I was a liar because I was jealous, because I wasn't his girlfriend, because I wasn't successful in the music industry, because I didn't have a hit record, because I didn't live in a mansion, because I didn't have diamonds. You said all of these things about me.
Jaguar Wright has consistently spoken out about Diddy's alleged behavior, and her claims go well beyond just wild gatherings. She has accused Diddy of having disturbing TIs to underage girls and elite figures in Hollywood, even suggesting involvement in sex trafficking allegations that align with the current federal charges Diddy is now facing. Additionally, Jaguar has made ambiguous remarks implying that both Diddy and Biggie had it coming, which raises further questions about her potential knowledge of past incidents in the hip-hop world. Even Maze has now stepped forward.
What did Puff do to piss you the fuck off? How did he do you dirty if he did you dirty?
Me and Puff was like, I felt like I did more than I got credit for, more than I got paid for.
You felt or did you do that? Because you said felt, like
okay,
feeling.
let's clear that up then.
You saying you feeling that?
No, we're gonna keep it with, because I'm trying to be nice. I never got paid what I was worth, and I never got the respect I was worth. So the disdain that I got for Puff is more like, you trying to keep me here. I'm not here. All my peers is up here. All my peers are bosses. When it's time, just like somebody raised somebody up, they did work with you. They go from your little man to maybe A&R to something else. He just kept trying to keep me right here, like he didn't want me to grow at anything.
Maze has openly challenged Diddy regarding unpaid publishing royalties and what he described as exploitative contracts. More critically, he's drawn attention to how Diddy allegedly took advantage of young artists and obstructed their progress in the industry when they didn't follow his lead. This points to a broader pattern of using power and status to influence, control, and suppress emerging talent, particularly those without the resources or knowledge to push back. Earlier, I mentioned that the final name on the list would be the most unexpected, and even I didn't see this one coming. That name is TD, Jakes. Now, you might be wondering what connection he could possibly have. TD? Jakes is reportedly one of Diddy's closest friends and associates, and according to some accounts, was seen at these alleged allegedly exploitative gatherings. What's especially troubling is that Jakes wasn't identified as a bystander or victim. The allegations suggest he was an enabler, someone who may have knowingly been part of the system that permitted this behavior to persist. When close friends, those in your inner circle, are not only aware of questionable conduct but also involved, it indicates just how far-reaching and embedded this network may have been. And these revelations likely won't be the last. This situation is still unfolding and new information continues to emerge. Let me know if there are any names I missed, and I'll see you in the next one.